Well, good evening. This is Ingmar after a rather long hiatus. What I'll do today is I'll take a little, model I sculpted in Nomad on the iPad Pro and try to embed it in an XCode project using SwiftUI and SceneKit, that's the name, sorry. Well then, so let's see what we can do. The idea would be that something like that is our end product, and I already tested this, so we've actually got pretty good chances that we will see something like that in the end. And well, let's start with a new XCode project. So there we are. One moment. So we're starting with this, and I'll have it as a multi-platform app, and yeah, just a single screen app. This won't be a game or a document app, just this one. So keep it and have a nice, give it a nice name. For example, obj import tests. Next, and then I'll just make up a new folder for the project and say, okay, this, why? Well, we could also take another one, but just let's streaming obj test. Great, and then he'll create our project right in there. For this one, I won't create a Git repository, for I'll delete it anyway, and this is just for testing purposes. So, all right. Now here we are. This is a new app created or about to be created in XCode, and the settings and UI elements are quite overwhelming. I will be using Swift and SwiftUI. SwiftUI is a programming language for iOS and Mac devices, and well, this is the standard code we are given by creating a new project. And usually there's on the right side when you're coding here, I found this to be rather, well, unnecessary or hindering, so I'll remove that and set this setting to editor only, so we just have the edit view right there. Okay, there's some standard text here that will be displayed just to have something in the viewport when this app is tested. Some boilerplate code here, and we can choose simulated iOS, iPad, OS, and I don't know if there's a phone simulator. No, I don't think so, not yet, at least not here. And I would like to have an iPhone 12 simulator for this app. So it's set right here, and just to be sure everything's working, I'll just start a build. So he's building the software and the application and compiling everything, and it succeeds, and we are seeing hello world. Well, the classic text for almost every programming language. So there we are, and this is our first app we just created, like right here. So now, how do I get my 3D content into this Swift project? Well, first of all, just have a test at displaying any 3D content right here. Apple has something called has created something called SceneKit, which is kind of a studio or 3D environment displayed in XCode itself. And when we're using that, we will just go on File and say, okay, let's have a new file. And this should be of the type SceneKit scene file. So this is our 3D scene, or 3D environment with camera and lighting and so on, right here. So there we are. Now we've got this entry here on the left, which is our scene file. And within the scene, there is actually not much else but a camera, which would be here. This is some sort of outliner, I guess. And in case we want to inspect or have some more data about the camera, we can just click on it, get some more detailed data on the 3D node right here in the inspector. And well, just to when we have a look at the area in the middle, then we'll see a perspective view of our scene, and this strange cone, that's the view looking out from the camera standpoint. And if we want to change it, so right now we are having some angle somewhere else, we're looking onto the scene from another point, so we can edit it just like any other 3D program or something like that. We can, at least we can try to navigate the space. It's a bit hard to read right now. So if we want to switch to the camera view, we can do this right at the bottom of this 3D editor view, and we can scroll to the bottom of this drop-down menu, and there will be this is out of focus. So here's one option, perspective, and while we're going all the way down, there's one other option, camera. So, and now we're actually looking at the scene from the but there's nothing in it in the scene except for some background sky. To change this, we can right click on this viewport and choose create, and then we'll have the possibility to choose from a variety of elements, and we'll get a sub menu called geometry, and there we will have, well, let's create a box, just plain and simple box. There it is. So now we've got a box, very nice. And it would also be nice to have some light in the scene. So let's add some light. We can also do this in this scene graph. Say add light, theoretically. And then, oh, that's interesting. I added it to the box itself. Strange. Okay, so let's redo this. Right. The box again, and then I'll add the light to the scene itself, and not to some of these nodes residing in the scene. I'll take some directional light, I guess. And then we've got this handler UI element right here. If you've seen some other 3D programs, then you might already know how these are working. This is pretty interesting. So now, yeah, so we'll get some difference in the shading on these three different angles, three different sides we are seeing from the from this element from the box. Okay, so far so good. Now, how do we get this into our scene so it will be displayed? Now, we've got an element in the folder view, or in the outline, the project navigator on the left, called SceneKit Scene. Now let's rename that to test scene for just have it a bit clearer. And now we can go into the content view Swift and add this right here. We're declaring a new field called scene, and we tell XCode or Swift to include an SC and scene, SCN scene, and I don't have the import code right now, so I still need to import the SceneKit. There we are, and then we'll add another element called test scene .scn. That's important. So what we did here is we just said, okay, we added the import statement for the for SceneKit, the 3D framework actually provided by Apple, and then we had we added one field or one element to the view, and we told Xcode or the compiler to look for something called test scene SCN, which we just created, and to make this available via the variable scene in this content view. So now, what else do we need? Well, there is nothing to be seen right now. When we're relaunching our tests right here, we'll see that, well, nothing appears. It's just a variable, and we can access our 3D scene via this variable. Thing has been added to the viewport so far. So first thing I'll do is I'll remove and then I will add a scene view. This is a view for SwiftUI, which is actually created or intended to display 3D elements. So, and we can go here and say, okay, now which scene should this scene view display? Well, obviously our newly imported scene, and we just tell our view that it should look field or a variable called scene available within this view. Now the next parameter we can pass is point of view, and there we'll see that we will pass a camera, create another variable or another field within the view, so we can define the value of this parameter. For now I'll just call it camera node, but this will cause an error in the meantime, so because Xcode cannot find camera node in the current scope. So okay, and let's have some options. This is a third parameter needed for the scene view. And now our error here, and I'll create a camera node. And this is some snippet I'll just copy and paste over, so I'll be making fewer mistakes. And that's the way how you get the SceneKit integrated into this SwiftUI code, and you actually can pick elements from the scene. So this here SCN node is then for the SceneKit the possibility to access an internal element of the 3D scene. What we're doing here is we're asking SceneKit to give to have a look at the nodes and give us a child node with the name camera, meaning that we need to have a node with the element camera or with the name camera. For if we don't, then well, this code won't find anything. So let's make sure there is a camera. Actually, it's here and it's called camera, so we should be fine. So let's return to the code. And what's this? Right in front here, this is the scene we are just stored in this variable. If this variable would have another name, this wouldn't work. So make sure these are the same names. The question mark right here is just testing or avoiding null pointer exceptions or errors, and this is just testing that scene is actually well, has content, and if it doesn't, then this won't cause an exception. Okay, now we're telling Xcode or Swift or our little app to have a look at the scene we just provided and to find a child node within the scene with a name camera, and if it finds something like that, then it will store the camera within the variable camera node we just declared here. The notation is a bit, well, maybe strange if you're coming from other programming languages, and well, it causes this name to be to this variable to store that node, and so we can give our scene view the point of view right here as a parameter with this camera node. All right, good. Now have another look at the scene. We are now ready to test, I hope, and we will re-render this. So, or restart this our little app, and there's our 3D object. Fantastic. Now the if it was just an image we wanted to display within the app, then we wouldn't need the 3D views, because well, then we just take one rendered image and include that in our application with a PNG file or JPEG or whatsoever. So to actually have some 3D feeling right here, we can take the scene view and add some options. One of the options available allows camera control right here, this one. So, and by adding that in our little list of options, and by restarting this, we just see that we can now turn this object around and have a look at it from all angles. It even has some kind of inertia when we are moving it around right here. So nice. Still, The setup seems to work, but the main task isn't accomplished yet. I need to include my own little sculpting exercise. Well, how do we do that? Now, there is a scene, and there's another file in downloads right here. I had the 3D object I just created with Nomad on the iPad. I exported this, put it right here, and now we would need to. Unfortunately, it's not all that drag and droppy as I hoped for, so we can't actually take this and drop it here into the scene. We need to make it available to the project a bit more on a bit more complicated path. So what we do need is another file right there, and this one is called SceneKit catalog. This serves as some kind of 3D assets, register, store, or whatever catalog. Well, now let's take this one, give it a name like 3D artwork. Not quite sure if names starting with a number are legal. Well, let's see if this is possible. So create. Yeah, it seems to work. Okay, and now we can actually right-click on this catalog and choose the Add Files to 3D Artwork SCN Assets. Click right here, and then I will navigate to the downloads where our heads OBJ is, our export from Nomad. Add that to the project, and now it's here. Fantastic. So this is all very nice, but how do we get it right here? And actually, right now that we imported it, when we're splitting the screen, having two windows right here, and we're switching to the 3D port on one of them, we can actually just take this one, which is rename it so it fits, and it also says head, and then we can use drag and drop to actually put that into our scene. So now we've got this object, but is everything still alright? Nah, we got a problem. The box is covering this, so we need to remove the box. Just click on the box with the right mouse button, select delete node, and there we go. This is now okay. It's pointing or looking away from the camera. I will adjust that a bit so it looks like that. And well, maybe we should rotate it a bit around, so like that. It's a bit irritating that the grid is so. Yeah, maybe I should have repositioned the pivot of the object prior to exporting. But well, that's for later. Now we've got this object in the scene called test scene at right there, and now we can have another test, another go, add our app, and if I'm lucky, oh yeah I am, there is our head. I can have a look from all sides. Since the the scene view is behaving just like every other view in SwiftUI. I can now also add UX elements like this. If you say, okay, make this a member of a VStack, like that. Let's move the scene view right here and have some text below it saying, okay, hello world, how are you? And now we'll restart this. And now we should see the text below the 3D elements. Yeah, there we are. So, though the syntax is sometimes a bit quirky, this actually was quite easy once you know how it's done. So if you just want to display 3D elements in some context and you don't need some really fancy animations around them, then you could go with this approach. Just import your 3D material into the app and then make it available via using a screen view and the SCN scene and the SCN node, and choosing the allows camera control as option for the scenes view. Okay, well, that's it so far.